This one's called The Shorts Don't Fit Anymore. In so many ways, a child just out of shorts. They don't fit anymore, and I've burnt the tie. But parts of my mind are still learning the game of catch-up. Some parts play, take nothing seriously, and then there is Captain Sensible, who occasionally comes to the fore in the rather poor excuse for schizophrenia that is my life. He's becoming more dominant. Maybe he's been promoted. Not that he'd tell me, of course, because he doesn't talk to himself. He's sensible. Occasionally, the captain enters into combat with Paranoia, who has no rank, being a senior Ministry of Defence civil servant. Paranoia nitpicks, finding fault or potential embarrassment or danger absolutely everywhere. Captain Sensible thinks Paranoia needs to relax, while Paranoia is convinced that Captain Sensible is an anally retentive arsehole. So the two disagree, and an internal conversation commences. When both Paranoia and the captain become excited, thoughts leap from behind the eyes out of poorly controlled gob. Then the captain speaks to himself, or should I say that I talk to myself, sometimes in German, which I don't really know but can pronounce, and like the sound, which I cannot entirely understand, apart from how can I get to the train station, please. Captain Sensible hates that. But frequently he is no match for the inner child who is about to start a three-way argument. You really are a pathetic excuse for schizophrenia, trying the captain and Paranoia badly in need of a chakra transplant. The inner adolescent laughs at everything, my head a comfortable and safe abode for him. He, at least, will never be evicted. Well, not until they try me on a new medication. I once had a baby, his name was Steve. He left me when I didn't let him win on the Nintendo. I once had a baby, his name was Steve. He left me when I refused to upgrade my games console. The Super Nintendo lets you kill people with better graphics. You can see individual organs and remove a limit at a time. He was a very well-spoken child. I once had a baby, his name was Steve, or maybe that was a dream I had that left me confused, remembering finding skirts comfortable but only appropriate for certain occasions. Never weddings, unless you're testing relatives for heart conditions in the hope of a windfall. I once had a baby, his name was Steve, at least that's what he prayed for every night, leaving me to wonder that maybe if I slept with men, I'd develop a dress sense, become an expert in feng shui, and women would feel comfortable with me, try to turn me. I could tell them it wasn't just a phase or something. I want to have a baby. I know it won't be called Steve unless she turns out to be a lesbian and I fall for a girlfriend. I once knew a guy called Steve. He was a Christian and in ginger and into heavy metal. I found him quite dull. Didn't talk to him after a while. I hope he's doing well and better at me than me at writing songs. Great. Yeah. My last piece for this short reading will be one comparing my confusion of people finding me attractive to the fact that most of the time when people are attacked by wild animals, it's a case of mistaken identity. I'm an object of beauty to a hungry crocodile, even if a little bony, but they don't mind that, neither did you. I'm just as frightened by hungry eyes when they don't belong to that kind of predator. Convinced I could only ever be bitten by mistake. Sharks have no other way to sample potential morsels that disappoint, because I'm not an elephant seal, even if I'm tastier than a surfboard. I only want to be an intentional meal. I know what I'm like. I'd die of embarrassment only partway through dismemberment. I'd only be second best as lunch for a tiger, that I'd much prefer an antelope. After all, where's the sport with prey that only runs on two legs? I've almost the same reaction to a peckish look, even if without the screaming and unaided attempts to break land speed records. I remain convinced that I can't be the intended object of desire, that ravenous creature that has locked me with her gaze must be wounded, starving, elderly or ill, perhaps feeling threatened with young nearby, but then again she's just a girl, maybe young woman, I know it's polite not to ask. This is just someone who's mistaken me for someone attractive and statistically almost certainly not a cannibal. You'd have to go to New Guinea for that these days, I remain. Apparently that's progress. I remain convinced it's not worth the journey. So I await confirmation that it's a case of mistaken identity. As I fight back the fear that I'm wrong, she strikes up a conversation. I'm a rabbit trapped in headlights, lost between anecdotes as it slowly dawns that my drink's been spiked. So it's my lucky night after all. Shame I won't remember it. Who would have thought Viagra and Rohypnol leave an aftertaste? At least I won't feel embarrassed if I'm shit. Thank you.